What happens when a generational shift hits women's basketball so hard that even the most established stars feel the ground move under their feet? Right now, the internet is pushing a dramatic storyline that has fans arguing nonstop. Some people are calling A'ja Wilson the most jealous player in the WNBA, claiming she spent months throwing shade at Caitlin Clark's rise and tried to insert herself into every Clark headline. And now, in the loudest version of the rumor, A'ja is supposedly watching a new Team USA era form without her. Now, before we go full wildfire with this, let's keep one thing straight. A lot of this is fan interpretation and online chatter, not verified official statements. But even when the loudest claims are exaggerated, the bigger truth underneath is still worth talking about. Caitlin Clark's gravity is changing the ecosystem, and the public is watching how every major player responds. So I want you to drop a comment right now. Do you think the league is just in a normal era transition? Or do you think the tension around Caitlin is exposing a real divide between old power and new momentum? And if you want more breakdowns as the Team USA timeline develops, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the next camp updates are going to give people even more material to fight over. The Duke camp isn't just a camp, it feels like a signal. Caitlin Clark's invitation to the elite Duke training camp has been treated by fans like something way bigger than a normal roster activity. People aren't talking about it like, oh cool, she's in the gym for a few days. They're talking about it like a ceremonial handoff. In the eyes of the public, when you get that call, you're not just being evaluated anymore. You're being placed into the blueprint for the next Olympic cycle. And with the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics looming as a massive cultural moment for U.S. women's basketball, fans are reading every roster move like it's a chess piece. The Duke roster reads like a wish list of the next era. Paige Bueckers with her big stage confidence and complete scoring bag. Aaliyah Boston with championship-level presence and two-way impact. Angel Reese bringing relentless rebounding, edge, and pure competitive heat. Juju Watkins representing the next wave that's about to kick the door down. And here's the detail fans keep circling. These players fit Caitlin's world. Clark isn't just a star, her style is a system. She speeds the game up. She stretches defenses beyond comfort. She turns simple possessions into crowd reactions. So people are looking at this camp and saying, this isn't random, this looks intentional. The Sue Bird factor makes it feel like a real pivot. Sue Bird's leadership role is another reason fans are convinced this is a generational shift, not just a routine rotation. The narrative online is that Sue wasn't brought in to preserve old patterns. She was brought in to guide a transition into what Team USA needs to become to stay ahead of the world. The international game keeps accelerating. More spacing, more pace, more quick decision-making. And Caitlin's style fits that modern direction almost too cleanly. If Team USA wants to lead through tempo, movement, and perimeter creation, then Clark becomes more than a good option. She becomes the centerpiece guard you build chemistry around early. That's why fans are already projecting her into a 2026 World Cup leadership role and a 2028 Olympic engine. Whether that happens exactly like that or not, the idea is what's driving the hype. Why this timeline is a cheat code for chemistry. Most Team USA rookies get thrown into late-cycle chaos. Limited prep, short windows, minimal time to build trust. But if Caitlin is truly being introduced early for the next major cycle, that's a massive advantage. 2 years before 2028 means hundreds of practices, multiple exhibition runs, and enough repetition to build instinctive chemistry. It means Caitlin won't be learning the system on the fly. If this plan is real, she'll be running it when the biggest games arrive. That's why some analysts and fans believe she could bypass the typical sit, learn, wait your turn hierarchy. Not because veterans don't matter, but because a star who brings elite playmaking plus massive cultural pull is hard to park on a bench for symbolism. Now, enter the A'ja Wilson debate. Here's where the internet gets messy. A'ja Wilson is an elite player, a champion-level force, and one of the most accomplished stars of her era. That part isn't even debatable. But in the loudest corners of social media, people aren't arguing her talent. They're arguing her tone. Some fans claim that during Caitlin's rookie surge and the hype that followed, A'ja often seemed to push back publicly on the discourse, questioning media priorities, raising marketing fairness concerns, and subtly suggesting that the spotlight was moving too fast for one player. In a vacuum, those concerns are valid. Veterans should be able to speak about fairness. The league has a long history of undermarketing brilliant players. But in a heated moment, nuance gets eaten alive. The moment the public decides your message feels like resentment rather than advocacy, it becomes a viral label you can't shake. The I have a shoe too narrative. One of the biggest flashpoints in the online storyline is what people call the I have a shoe too moment, an interpretation that Aja was trying to match Caitlyn's Nike momentum by reminding the world she also had brand value and sneaker presence. Whether that framing is fair or exaggerated, it became a meme. And memes are powerful because they don't need proof, they only need traction. The internet loves a clean storyline. New face rises, veteran feels threatened, tension spills into marketing, public chooses sides. Once that script catches on, everything gets interpreted through that lens. The assist records, awards, and merch waves. Another reason this narrative exploded is because Caitlyn's rookie-era impact wasn't just highlights. It was measurable cultural shift. Fans point to arena sellouts, merch surges, spiking TV attention, and non-stop mainstream coverage. In that context, any veteran commentary about fairness or media imbalance can get misread as a direct attack on the new engine driving attention. Some fans claim Aja couldn't let Caitlyn have a defining moment without pushing back or reframing the conversation. Again, we don't need to treat that as confirmed fact to understand why the perception grew, because perception is the real currency in these media wars. The corporate speaking fee debate. Then came the business comparison chatter. A viral claim floating around fan spaces is that Aja suggested she earns comparable speaking fees or market value to Caitlyn, and that people who follow the business side of sports found that unrealistic. Whether that quote is accurate, misquoted, or taken out of context, the broader public reaction was basically, Caitlyn is currently pulling a different level of corporate demand. That's not an insult to Aja. It's just how intense Caitlyn's crossover moment has been. Companies love athletes who bring in fresh, non-traditional fans. And right now, Caitlyn is an entry point for millions of casual viewers who never paid attention to women's basketball before. That's the marketing superpower. The bigger gap isn't basketball, it's conversion. In sports marketing, the holy grail isn't popularity alone. It's conversion. Can you turn a non-fan into a paying fan? That's where Caitlyn's value has looked historic. The online debate says that while Aja has years of elite basketball achievements, Caitlyn has become a once-in-a-generation marketing catalyst capable of forcing new money into the ecosystem. So even if two players are both stars, the market can still treat them differently because the type of attention they bring is different. That doesn't mean Aja isn't huge. It means Caitlyn is currently a cultural engine. Where this connects to Team USA's future. Team USA doesn't just build a roster, they protect a global brand. If Caitlyn's presence boosts viewership, international engagement, sponsorship narratives, and youth interest, then her inclusion isn't only a basketball decision, it becomes a cultural strategy. This is why fans are reading the Duke camp as a signal that the program wants a future identity anchored by pace, spacing, and a modern guard-led engine. And if that's the direction, then naturally the supporting cast will be chosen to amplify that system. Why some fans are now painting Aja as left behind. This is where the harshest online take emerges. They claim Aja spent too much energy pushing back against Caitlyn's wave instead of coexisting with it, and that this hurt her public image with fans and possibly with key decision-makers. Now again, we do not have official proof that anyone was removed from anything for toxicity. That's a loaded word people throw around too casually. But this is the internet, and the internet doesn't wait for careful evidence. The loudest narrative says Team USA is moving toward the future, and Aja's public stance made her look like resistance to the new centerpiece. Whether that's fair is exactly what people are debating. The Nike deal as a power structure moment. Your script mentions a massive Nike deal for Caitlyn, the kind of number that, if accurate, would absolutely signal a market earthquake. Even without locking in exact figures, the broader point stands. Caitlyn's Nike momentum has been treated as a landmark moment for women's hoops branding. When a young player gets an enormous long-term endorsement structure, the league quietly learns who the corporate world is betting on. Fans then extrapolate that into everything: media priority, campaign decisions, and national team future visibility. It's not always a direct cause and effect, but it shapes public perception fast. The sneaker contrast narrative. Another piece of the online story is the idea that Caitlyn's drops generate immediate hype and resale energy, while Aja's launches don't create the same viral stampede. Again, we don't need to dunk on Aja to acknowledge that Caitlyn's current moment is unusually explosive. Clark's brand has that rare, mainstream sports fever quality. The same kind of momentum that crosses over into conversations far outside basketball. That's why sneaker culture accounts, marketing analysts, and general sports pages keep treating her as a case study. The painful truth about era shifts. Here's what this all really comes down to. Most generational transitions get messy. The old era built the house. The new era shows up with a bigger crowd. That tension isn't unique to the WNBA. It's a sports pattern that repeats across decades. And the internet always tries to condense that complex reality into a simple story. Veteran jealous. Rookie crowned. Power shift complete. Real life is usually more complicated than that. But your audience isn't watching for a graduate seminar. They're watching for a storyline with stakes. The two competing truths can coexist. This is the most balanced way to see it. Truth number 1. A'ja Wilson is a legitimate superstar who has earned respect and continued spotlight. Truth number 2. Caitlin Clark is a once-in-a-generation cultural catalyst who is rapidly redefining the sport's public ceiling. The problem is that fandom frequently acts like only one truth can exist at a time. So instead of saying, both are great and the league is expanding, the debate becomes, pick a side. Why the public thinks Team USA is leaning into Caitlin's era. If Team USA is truly emphasizing tempo-first offense, spacing-heavy lineups, and quick-strike three-point creation, then Caitlin becomes an obvious prototype guard. The players around her in camp, Boston, Reese, Buckers, Watkins, all offer different ways to make that style deadly. That's why fans are imagining a future where Caitlin is not just a roster piece, but a scheme centerpiece. And if that version of the team comes to life, it will absolutely change how Team USA looks, feels, and markets itself globally. The risk for A'ja isn't skill, it's narrative. The biggest danger for any veteran during a cultural shift isn't losing talent, it's losing the storyline. If fans start associating you with resistance rather than leadership, that label can grow even when reality is more nuanced. And that's why this jealousy narrative, fair or not, has gained traction. Because in the Caitlin era, public emotion is moving faster than careful interpretation. So, was A'ja kicked out? Your script says she was kicked out of Team USA. To keep this responsible in tone while preserving your dramatic format, the safest framing is, some fans are claiming, online rumors suggest, the internet is reacting as if. Because until something official confirms it, it remains a contested narrative. But here's the key. Even if the specific claim is exaggerated, the shift fans are reacting to is very real. The bottom line. A'ja Wilson may not be gone in any official sense, but the internet is treating this moment like a symbolic turning point. The argument fans are making is simple. If you spend too much energy challenging the face of the sport's expansion, you risk getting painted as the villain of progress, even if your intent was to advocate for fairness. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark is moving deeper into the Team USA pipeline at the exact time a new identity appears to be forming. To fans, this looks like the beginning of her era. What happens next is going to be loud. If Caitlin dominates this camp environment, connects quickly with the next wave, and proves her style translates cleanly to international systems, the hype will accelerate. If A'ja responds publicly with sharper messaging, the internet will interpret it in whatever direction it already wants to believe. That's the reality of modern sports discourse. You don't just play games, you compete inside narratives. So here's the final question for you. Do you think this is a fair generational shift? Or do you think fans are exaggerating rivalry vibes into a soap opera? Drop your take in the comments. I genuinely want to see where you stand. And if you want the next update when camp details, lineups, and official statements start rolling out, like subscribe and turn on all notifications so you don't miss the next breakdown. Because love her or hate her, one thing is clear. The Caitlin Clark era isn't slowing down, it's accelerating.